Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, one of the world's leading children's hospitals has warned the government that its world-leading status could be threatened by cutting ties with the European Union. Researchers at London's Great Ormond Street fear that Brexit could put the lives of vulnerable patients at risk. It's not just funding. The future of long-standing partnerships and European staff are also at risk, along with British access and leadership to Europe-wide research into rare diseases. Our science editor, Tom Clark, reports.
Big breath in like big bad wolf and blow.
Felix Robertson has come to Great Ormond Street Hospital in London for a regular checkup. He has Duchenne muscular dystrophy, a rare and fatal muscle wasting disease for which there is currently no cure and few treatments. Felix is 4. By the time most boys with this condition reach their teenage years, they are unable to walk. Few survive beyond their 20s.
We walked up this road, went to that hospital and received the diagnosis, and we came out to the square and I saw Felix running around and falling, and it was just like seeing my life going in a concentric circle towards the middle, and just that's going to happen for the rest of our lives.
His parents are hoping to enrol Felix in 2 clinical trials for new treatments for Duchenne. Both have had funding from the EU.
The only reason we've come so far in the last decade is because of collaboration, and a huge amount of the collaboration has been from the EU.
Great Ormond Street is a world leader in developing treatments for rare diseases like Duchenne. It argues free access to Europe has given it funding and the large patient groups it needs to test treatments.
We can't enrol enough children on our own in Britain. We just don't have enough of children with these rare diseases. So it's a really frustrating point, just as it becomes easier to do trials across Europe, just as we're beginning to get drugs licensed out of Great Ormond Street that were developed here and made in the UK. It's really frustrating that we can't build on that legacy and continue to do that kind of work, which is jeopardised by our exiting.
But surely Brexit could allow for stronger ties elsewhere.
The complexity, the time and the expense around setting those up is enormous, and it puts into the shade the ease with which we're able to do this in the EU.
So what we need to do is to be able to put a working copy of the gene into their bone marrow cells.
Professor Bobby Gaspar has pioneered one of the first gene therapies for another fatal childhood disease called severe combined immunodeficiency. The work has required large amounts of European money, expertise and access to the few children each year who are born with the condition. By replacing faulty genes in a child's bone marrow cells with working copies, a disease that was once entirely fatal can now be permanently cured.
Hi, Nina.
Yeah. Nina Warnell, who's 3 and lives in Poland, was part of the gene therapy trial and living proof the system works.
We needed to come to Great Ormond Street. It was a matter of days or weeks before Nina would have actually died and passed away. So being, part of Europe and having access to facilities like Great Ormond Street really does make the difference between life and death. She's really shown that the therapy is successful and does work, and I believe Great Ormond Street are now treating another 13 children from across Europe and the UK based on what they learned from Nina's treatment.
The gene therapy is about to be licensed as a treatment across Europe, but a full Brexit would put the UK outside Europe's drug licensing system, and that worries doctors too.
If the UK were to have to go it alone when it comes to the licensing and use of drugs, we would be delaying life-saving drugs being available for children with rare diseases. So everybody would go to Europe first for licensing. We would be at the back of the queue.
Last week, ministers assured MPs they would work to maintain links with other European researchers and that EU funds already granted would be secure. And some countries like Norway still qualify for EU research funds and drug licensing without being members. Whether Brexit hurts the prospects of children with rare diseases like Felix depends a lot on the terms of our departure.
To cut the collaboration is just taking so many steps backwards in our case, in a disease which is so regressive, so aggressively regressive, that we just don't have time.
That report from Tom Clark.
I've been getting away with it all